This time 8 years ago, I had a kidney infection. It wasn't the first one I'd had. In fact, it wasn't even the first one I'd had that year. It was the 14th kidney infection that I'd had in a 12-month period. I remember that number because it was at that point that the doctors decided to stop treating me, and they'd long since given up trying to work out what was actually going wrong. And to be honest, I was close to giving up hope too. But then I found biomagnetism, and within just a few weeks, my health had totally turned around. Now, if I rewind even further in my story, as long as I can remember, I've been looking for a way to make a positive impact on the world. From rescuing a bear from captivity in Kyrgyzstan when I was just 8, to then volunteering in a safe house for abandoned, abused and HIV-positive babies when I left school, and then setting up a project to empower female artisans in Central Asia and South Africa. So, biomagnetism not only gave me my health back, but it gave me a career with purpose and that ability to have a positive impact on the world. Now, I've had the privilege of treating hundreds of people and witnessing their journey back to health. And the school now gives other people the opportunity to have that same journey too, and to be honest, have the best job in the world. So today I'm going to share with you the 5-step biomagnetism success roadmap so that you can start to implement this amazing treatment, whether that's just for self-treatment or whether it's to take the steps into learning more. I'll share with you the next steps that you can take in your biomagnetism journey too. So let's begin. Okay, so today's the biomagnetism roadmap. It's a little bit different from anything that I've delivered before. So we're going to cover 5 steps to success and fulfillment. So I said there's lots of you on the line today who are familiar names and faces, which is really lovely. But for those of you who maybe this is our first encounter, I thought I'd just give you a little bit of insight into me. I'm Faye. I've been a biomagnetism practitioner for a while, and I've now founded the School of Biomagnetism and Bioenergetics because I quite quickly realised that being a biomagnetism practitioner is probably like the best job in the world. I genuinely really love it. But I also believe that everyone should have access to biomagnetism, and there's only so many people that I can stick magnets on in my lifetime. So training more practitioners just means there's more of us to help spread biomagnetism. So I founded the School of Biomagnetism and Bioenergetics. So as I said, I think that everyone should have access to biomagnetism, and I think more people should know about biomagnetism. So I would love it if you guys on the call tonight and people watching the recording could share that we're even doing this. So there's a few ways that you could do this. You could just take a picture of the screen now. I'll try not to be pulling a silly face when you do it, and share it that way. Let me just move that so I can see you guys again. Anyone who does share it, whether you're sharing it live today or sharing the recording or pinging it out or however you want to share it on your Instagram stories, ideally, or on your as a post if that's how you prefer. I would love it if you shared that this was going on. And what I'm going to do is anyone who's on the call and shares might just end up being one person. So this might be a pretty surefire bet. But I'm going to do 2 prizes, one for people that share it on the call today. And also I'm going to do another prize at the end of the week. So anyone watching it on recording gets an opportunity to win a pair of magnets. And I'll post them anywhere in the world. So you don't just have to be in the UK to enter. But I'd love it if you just shared that this was happening, so more people just even know that biomagnetism exists, because at the moment people kind of glaze over when you say biomagnetism. They've never heard of it before, and I'm on a mission to change that, and the more people that help me with that mission, the better. So one person I will choose tomorrow morning as the winner, and then another person I will choose on Friday as the winner. So if you're not watching this live, you can still join in and be in with a chance to win a pair of magnets. And if you want to do it both ways around, you can have 2 entries, so double your chances. But yeah, it'd just be really amazing to get more eyes on biomagnetism and hear about kind of how magical it is. So let's jump into the roadmap. We've got a 5-step roadmap that we're going to cover today. I tried to keep it all alliteration with an M, but I just couldn't quite squeeze it in and it still makes sense. But we're going to start with mindset, then we're going to look at muscle testing, then magnets and practice, and then I lost my M alliteration. But we're going to look at self-treatment and also confidence with biomagnetism. And then at the end, I'm going to tell you about what next steps you can take if you are interested in taking your journey further. So, mindset. I think mindset is such a cornerstone of not only biomagnetism, but such a cornerstone of healing. And I think one way that we can really master our mindset and really kind of, rather than our mind control us, us have control of our minds, is meditation. And just like training any muscle, training our mind and our brain it takes practice. You'll notice there's a theme through the evening. I'll talk about practice a lot, but I think that consistency and that practice in all things in life is so valuable. And actually, meditation as for practitioners is really, really key, because we need to be super focused when people are in the treatment room with us, whether that's we're taking their medical history or we're doing the muscle testing. We have to be 100% present with that person. Our mind can't be wandering off into other places, and that's where meditation comes in. And so I'm going to kind of go out on a limb and place a bit of a bet that lots of you here today are empaths. Now, empaths are people who tend to feel the energy of others. So if anyone almost kind of, if you're in a busy place and you feel that kind of the energy of the group, or if you're with someone who is burnt out in any way or sad, you almost feel their emotions with them. You can get quite kind of emotionally entangled almost. And so this is one of the things that tends to also go hand in hand with being practitioners, tends to go hand in hand with people who are called towards natural healing, is this very like empathetic tendency. And being empathetic is like an amazing skill to have, and it really is like a core skill. It's something that's actually, I think, quite hard to teach. I think people are just naturally very empathetic, and I'm sure there's lots of you on the line tonight that will resonate with. But because being empathetic means that we can quite often feel other people's emotions, it can also be quite draining. And if you are a practitioner, that's not where we want to be. I remember when I first started work, I would get exhausted. And now part of that was I was like, even though it was like night and day in terms of how much better I felt than when I had kidney infections, there was definitely an element of work that made me tired. And now on reflection, it's because I was empathizing with people. Now, we don't want to switch that kind of superpower off. What we want to do is turn empathy into compassion. And if any of you are following me on Instagram, you'll know that I've spoken about this recently. Empathy has the energy of I feel with you. So it puts you into that same energetic space as someone else. That's true as between practitioner and client, but it's true in all walks of life. It could be your partner or your friend. It puts you to that same energetic and emotional space. Now, we don't want to step out of that space entirely, but what we want to do is turn empathy into compassion. And in doing that, it's much more empowering. It puts you into the space of, rather than I feel with you, so I feel for you. And in that space, you can hold space for emotion, and you can give them a safe space in which to feel how they feel, but you're not taking it on and internalizing it. Again, it's practice, and the practice that we do to be able to switch empathy into compassion is metta meditation. Metta meditation, it's the loving kindness meditation, and we can direct this loving kindness to ourselves when we come to look at like the self-care section later. This is an amazing practice to build into that, is pointing that loving kindness at ourselves. But we also want to practice pointing that out to other people. And that can be our loved ones and our friends and family. And then if you do ever become a practitioner, or you are already a practitioner, we can point that out to our clients as well. And it really helps to shift that dynamic from empathy to compassion. So before I start, just can I have a show of hands? It can be virtual or on video if any of you here meditate. Okay, and another show of hands again can be virtual or on video. Has anyone here ever practiced metta loving kindness meditation before? Okay, a couple of people. Yeah. So it's a really, really, really nice practice, and it's also super simple and super quick. So I'm not suggesting that you sit for 45 minutes in a cross-legged position with chanting music on in the background. All of that is lovely, and I'm a big fan of that as well. But the joy of metta meditation is you can do it really quickly. So what I do at the end of a day, once I've finished all of my clients, so I just do a metta meditation for myself and for my clients, and sometimes other people as well, like that pop into my mind. And this is how it goes. So you guys can just kind of repeat it along with me if you want to kind of join that space with me, but also no pressure if you don't want to. So I just take a minute and I take a deep breath and center myself down. And I say the words, may I be happy, may I be healthy, may I live with ease, may I be free from suffering. And once I've done it for myself, I'll then extend it out. When you're first starting to practice, it's much easier to practice this on people that you have a very loving relationship with already. So if it's your first time doing loving kindness meditation, now think of somebody that you love. And then with that person in your mind's eye, we do the same thing. May you be happy, may you be healthy, may you live with ease, may you be free from suffering. And then we can do it for clients or for other people or for work colleagues or for someone who had road rage and beeped you at a roundabout. You can really roll it out in any way that you kind of feel that you would benefit from it. But it's a really amazing practice to build into your routine. And it's amazing how powerful it is to stop you from taking on other people's emotions. But it's really powerful because you're in a much better place to be able to help and support other people. And it's much nicer for you as well to not be on that kind of pulled in to other people's things and on that roller coaster. So mindset is something that we train with meditation, and one of my all-time favorites is metta meditation. And as you can see, you can do it in a couple of minutes, even working through lots of people. And I promise I will write it out and send it to you as well. Okay, the next M in the alliteration bit of the 5-step roadmap. So we're on to section 2 now of the roadmap, is muscle testing. Now, muscle testing is an amazing tool that we use in biomagnetism, and it taps into the innate wisdom of the body. So we have in our kind of brain, we don't really have a part of the brain that is the unconscious mind. Instead, the unconscious mind is more like an energy information system that's kind of in the body and in the kind of energetic field. And it's that information that we're tapping into when we muscle test. And I'm sure you've all seen the kind of classic photo that's, there was definitely one on the wall of my A-level psychology classroom of the iceberg, of the tip of the iceberg and then the main bit of the iceberg underneath. Now, the tip of the iceberg is the conscious mind, but the unconscious mind is like vast in comparison. And this is where biomagnetism is so amazing, because by using muscle testing, we can access the information in the unconscious mind. And our little conscious minds really only know a tiny little fraction of what's going on in our systems. But if we can access the unconscious mind, that opens up a whole new kind of layer of what we can work on. And it's one thing that really sets biomagnetism apart from any other type of magnet therapy, is that ability to focus in on exactly what our systems need, or what our clients' systems need. And really how it works in a very simplified way, because when I teach this on the course, we do a whole week on this, and then we probably touch on it every subsequent week for the rest of the 11 weeks afterwards. So it's a big topic, but if I just boil it right down, essentially what it is an autonomic physiological response. So much like we get a pupillary reaction to light, it's just an autonomic physiological thing that happens when there's more light or there's less light. Most of the time, we don't feel our pupils expanding and contracting with changing light levels. Same thing with muscle testing in biomagnetism. Lots of you have had biomagnetism appointments, and you don't always feel that muscular contraction, but we see it as practitioners. But it's an autonomic response. What we're looking for in biomagnetism is called right hemibody shortening. So we're looking for a muscular contraction that's happening on the right side of the body. And anyone can do it. It looks like magic when we're working and we're shaking the legs, and it looks all kind of like you must have so much skill and be really in tune. But really what we're looking for is for one leg to become shorter than the other leg. It's a really physical response that we're actually looking for, and anyone can do it with the right guidance and the right testing and lots and lots and lots of practice. Anyone can do it. But it does take some mastering. So today, that's not going to be what I'm teaching you. I'm going to teach you a more simple form of muscle testing. Lots of you might have heard of it before. It's called the sway test. Now, if you already have your own way of muscle testing, by all means, you can apply it to biomagnetism. It's not how we work as practitioners, but when you're self-treating, by all means, it could be that you're really good at dowsing, or you're really good at traditional kinesiology. Whatever that might be, by all means apply it. But I'm going to, for anyone who doesn't have any muscle testing experience, I'm going to run you through a really simple way to do muscle testing. And when I say simple, I mean like it's super simple. At the moment, I've literally got 2 post-it notes with pairs written on. We're going to come to them in a minute. One is sternocleidomastoid, so it's for switching off the sympathetic nervous system. One is brainstem lumbar for switching on the parasympathetic. I think I've got that right. Sternocleidomastoid, switch off sympathetic. Brainstem lumbar, turn on parasympathetic. And now, to be honest, we could all benefit from these pretty much all the time, but I want to work out today, the question that I'm going to ask is, which one of these is going to be most beneficial to me? And so then all I do is, I'm going to do it sitting down. I'd recommend doing it standing up, particularly when you first start. Before you do anything, you just want to make sure that you're nice and steady and centered. You can sometimes start by saying things like, my yes is forward, my yes is forward, my yes is forward. I'm exaggerating this so that you can see, and that you feel that sway forward. My no is backwards, my no is backwards, my no is backwards. That's almost always how it goes. We're pulled towards the things that are good for us and are pushed away from the things that are bad for us. So now I'm going to work out, okay, which one of these 2 pairs is going to be most beneficial for me today. So not sternocleidomastoid. Switching off my sympathetic isn't maybe the best thing, which probably isn't right now. I probably need a bit of that switched on to pay attention. Brainstem lumbar is a much more relaxing pair, but I can feel that I'm being pulled towards that. So the one that I would benefit from most right now is the brainstem lumbar. So that's switching on the rest and digest side of the nervous system. Now, and lots of you have the ebook already. If you don't have the ebook, then you can download the ebook. I think Dan might have the link that he could put into the chat for anyone who doesn't have the ebook. So you can head over there and fill in your details to get the biomagnetism ebook. And what you can actually do is literally print it off and then just cut it up. And if you're not sure which pairs you need, just get them and put them on and see which ones you sway towards. You might not be pushed back from all of them because there's probably nothing like that your body doesn't want, but see if you can feel that being pulled towards. And when you first start doing this, another thing that's quite useful to do is actually to get things that you know about, like a bottle of bleach, for example. You're going to feel that push a lot more and then get a nice fresh orange, and you're going to feel that pull and get to know that feeling. When it first happens, it's a bit like when you first see the muscular contraction when you're working with biomagnetism. When you first feel that sway, that push and that pull, it's like mind-blowing of how powerful the unconscious mind is and how kind of clear that response can be. It will take a little while as well for you to get out of your own head and go, am I just doing that because I know it's good or I know it's bad? But then you'll start to get into the swing of it and you'll really feel it. And it's like, honestly, yeah, it's like mind-blowing when you start working with it. Okay, magnets and practice. This one's a little bit more about practice than magnets, but I wanted to try and stick with that alliteration for as long as possible. I'm not going to bore you guys too much with the ins and outs and technical details of biomagnetism because it's in the ebook and it's in the masterclass that we did earlier this year. I'll ping you guys out a link to that when I send over the summary email as well. So you've got access to that if you haven't seen the masterclass already. We go into this a lot more deeply. But on kind of the most surface level, we are electromagnetic beings. We're literally made of trillions of cells that act like tiny little batteries, and they have a slight differential in charge, just like a magnet does. So we're electromagnetic beings living on a geomagnetic planet. We basically live on a huge magnet with a North Pole and a South Pole. So it makes sense that in order for us to be healthy, our magnetic field needs to be balanced. To me, that's just like, of course. And then it kind of blows my mind that more people don't know about biomagnetism. But I'll dive in a little bit deeper as well to just explain that a little bit more of kind of how it works. So when we put a magnet on the body, we're using biomagnetism to balance bioelectricity. That's like us at the very smallest scale. So we use biomagnetism to balance bioelectricity. Once the bioelectricity, the charge in the cells is balanced, it balances the biochemistry, particularly the pH, because pH is all linked to charge. Again, I'm not going to bore you too much with diving into the science, even though it's really tempting because I really love it. But the bioelectricity balances the biochemistry, particularly the pH. All of the biological systems in the body operate within quite a precise pH range. So it's really important to have everything balanced so that our systems can function optimally. That's things like the immune system, the nervous system, the digestive system, the endocrine system. All of the systems in our body require a very precise pH in order to function optimally. So that's kind of how it works. Biomagnetism impacts bioelectricity, impacts biochemistry, impacts biological systems. So that's just a little bit of a kind of insight into how it works before we jump into kind of using magnets and magnet practice. So one of the best things about biomagnetism is that anyone can do it. Just like learning the muscle testing. To be honest, the muscle testing is one of the trickiest bits of biomagnetism, but honestly, anyone can do it. But yeah, with the right guidance, anyone can do it, but it does take practice. Again, I think each of my steps in the 5-step roadmap probably also links into practice, but it is practice, practice, practice. Mindset it takes practice. Muscle testing, it takes practice. Getting to mastery of the magnets, it takes practice. It's all just practice and consistency. So anyone who does want to take that journey in biomagnetism, if you're buying one pair of magnets and putting it on yourself, consistency is going to be your friend. But the thing is learning biomagnetism is a little bit like learning how to drive a car. When you first start, it's so overwhelming. When you first get in that car and like you've got to steer and do mirrors and change gears and not crash into anything or anyone. It's like you get in the car and you think, I'm never going to be able to do this. It's so overwhelming. And then all of a sudden that you start to get it, you stall a little bit less, you drive a little bit longer without any major kind of panics or swerves or stalling or braking at the wrong time or the right time or too late or too early. And then all of a sudden you pass your test, and that's probably where you do most of your learning, is actually after you pass your test. Just like with biomagnetism, after you've finished your training, you probably actually learn more than you do in the training. And then all of a sudden one day you get home and you don't even remember the drive. It becomes so automatic that you haven't even really had to engage your brain with the whole process. But it's practice. It all takes practice, and mastery of biomagnetism is nothing more than practice. So in that 5 steps to be successful, practice is like up there with one of the most important ones. And there's a few of my kind of past students on the call tonight, you'll all know that practice is like my catchphrase because it is super important. Okay, so the next step in the success in biomagnetism is self-treatment, because to be the best biomagnetists, we need to be kind of the best versions of ourselves. And the best way to do that is biomagnetism. So actually treating ourselves is really, really important to keep our own kind of energy and health as optimal as possible. Now, a lot of people who start their biomagnetism journey, they kind of start in a place of not being super healthy at the start. So self-treatment is even more important in those situations. It's really important that we don't just always kind of outflow that energy to others, but we actually divert a lot of it kind of back to ourselves. So it's really important to practice self-care. Like we all know that analogy of, if the plane goes down, you put the mask on yourself before helping anyone else, because if you pass out, you're of no use to anyone. Same goes it's really important to make sure that we're balanced and we're as healthy as possible. And also, just from kind of having access to the ebook, even if that's as far as you ever go in your biomagnetism journey, you have an amazing tool at your disposal. So like we might as well use it, right? Like it's biomagnetism, so amazing, and we're some of the privilege for you to know about it and have a kind of an ability to be able to incorporate it in our lives. And that is a massive privilege. So being able to use it for ourselves is huge. And actually, one of the things that people on the courses say the most is how much profoundly their health has changed over the 12 weeks of the course, as they've managed to practice on themselves, because you can't always get someone to lie down to practice on, but you've always got yourself to stick magnets on. So it's a great benefit. So I'm going to teach you just a few pairs. If you want to learn more, there's 25 in the ebook. I'm sure you guys know that. I'm sure you all have the ebook already, but these are some of my favorite ones, particularly thinking about if you are a practitioner or you decide to take that practitioner journey. These are going to be really important ones. So SCM is sternocleidomastoid. Partly I can never spell it, but also it's one of the ones that when people learn it, they kind of end up being a bit scared of this pair because they know they're not going to be able to say it. So I'm just shortening it to SCM because that's much more manageable. So these are the two that I had written on my post-it notes. So nervous system regulation is like fundamentally important. Our nervous system is like the trunk of the tree, And then everything else is branches off there. So our endocrine system is a branch off there. Our digestive system is a branch off there. Our immune system, everything is branches off that central trunk. So if that central trunk is compromised in some way, the whole rest of the tree is compromised. So managing your nervous system is like of fundamental importance. And this is one of the best ways to do it. Bonus points, if you meditate at the same time, a nice meditation that lasts half an hour with the magnets on is like dream combo for regulating the nervous system. But I'll just show you how to do these pairs. So sternocleidomastoid, it's just the big muscle that runs down the side of your neck, and we do black on the right and red on the left. The other one that's really good is brainstem lumbar. So just remember the colour of the dot is the colour that goes towards the skin. So we do brainstem right at the kind of base of the brain. So we're putting that right at the base of the skull, on the back, black towards the head. And then we're putting the red magnet on the lumbar vertebra. So anywhere on the lower back will be fine. And this one is amazing. Like, people get so chilled out. I've given this to people before, and then I hear stories of like someone was really stressed about doing some admin, so they put this on to get their admin done and woke up with their head in paperwork like 3 hours later because they were so chilled that they just nodded off. And an past student who's just completed the course, I don't think she's online tonight, but told me a story of giving these magnets to someone who was going to the dentist to have cavitation surgery. If you don't know what that is, they basically scrape out your jawbone. It's really intense and people find it really traumatic, and she was terrified. So she gave her this pair. She fell asleep for the whole procedure. It's really like, I think it's the one that as I give it out to people, everyone loves it. So black at the base of the skull, red on the lower back, and that switches on the parasympathetic nervous system, super relaxing, and puts you in the rest and digest side of the nervous system. So a great way to chill out. Also really great for the digestive system if you have any IBS and that kind of stuff. Popping this one on before dinner is a great one to do as well. But just coming back, as practitioners, we want to make sure that particularly at the end of the day, we can kind of like decompress. And so as I finish today, I'll put on brainstem lumbar because I love biomagnetism and it's great, and but also I need to relax at the end of the day. And so this is a pair that's amazing for that. I sometimes just put it on in the car whilst I'm driving home from clinic. I should probably not share that. Don't do that. It's proceed with caution. Don't use magnets and drive. But it is a really nice way to chill out after a long day. Okay, immunity. The nature of being in a kind of confined space with people, as we are with biomagnetism, does mean that sometimes germs get passed around. The other thing is we do with people who have various types of infections and pathogens and weird and wonderful things. So this is another one, amazing for everyone. Everyone should boost their immune systems or modulate their immune systems. But as practitioners, this is another one that you're going to want to get into a regular kind of pattern of using. So first one is appendix thymus. So that's black towards the body on the lower right abdomen. Tuck it just inside of your hip bone on the right hand side. And then we're going red magnet just in the middle of the sternum, slightly above the kind of the midpoint, but aim for, yeah, around there on the sternum. So that's appendix thymus. Now, it's tricky to put both of these on at the same time. So what I would do is do one and then the other. So you can just slide that red magnet down a little bit and pop the black one on top. And then we're impacting thymus. It's funny because I put that one on, and because my body's so used to magnets, I can tell I need that one. I instantly feel a little like a little like of like electricity cold feeling. Sometimes they feel hot, but this feels cold, which to me says I need this one. So maybe when I put the magnets on at the end of the day today, I'll do brainstem lumbar and thymus. Okay, so another really important thing to do as practitioners, if you are empathetic, if you have any energy kind of problems, then this is going to be an amazing combo for you. Firstly, adrenals. So adrenal, we're just going to put the magnets side by side and we put them on the back around the height of the bra line. I realise that's less useful for the men on the call, but we're going just kind of below the base of the scapula. If you can imagine, if you were to wear a bra where the magnets would go, I don't have a better kind of cue for you as to where they go, but I'll show you. So they go centre of the thoracic, really. So then centre of that upper back area. And this is amazing for regulating energy, clearing any kind of like stress and traumas and things out of the system is really good for. But one of my all-time favorites that's super, super easy, and what everyone should just do is just have a pair of magnets on their side table in their living room. So as they watch TV, they can just pick them up. It means you don't end up doom scrolling your phone. So there's always that bonus that we don't end up trying to multitask and ending up on our phones. But holding a magnet in each hand, this is like one of my all-time favorite ways to use the magnets because it just clears out any energy that we've absorbed. So as practitioners, we can do all of the mindset stuff, but there's always going to be some energy that kind of absorbs or imbalances us slightly. This is an amazing way to clear that out. It's also really good if you're EMF sensitive. So any energy, whether that's energy from people or energy from electromagnetic devices like phones and that kind of stuff, it's really great for clearing all of that out. So we're just holding it in the palms. Don't worry too much about which way it goes. Ideally, we'll hold it one way for anywhere between 15 minutes to half an hour, and then we just swap them so they go the other way round. And again, we do it for anywhere between kind of 15 minutes to half an hour. Again, you could pop a meditation on it at the same time, but generally with magnets, if you can habit stack it with something else, like if you know that you're going to watch an episode of something on Netflix that lasts 40 minutes, then do 20 minutes and 20 minutes and hold the magnets. If you know it's a half an hour episode, then do 15 minutes, 15 minutes. Just work out ways that you can incorporate it to make it as easy as possible. And this one you can't do whilst driving home unless you're lucky enough to be driven. But if I'm working in London, I do this on the train home. It's much easier to do on a train than putting on brainstem lumbar. But yeah, I just hold the magnets, means that I resist just scrolling on my phone, and just really helps kind of clear out that energy that we can absorb from other people. So my top tips for regular pairs that practitioners should use, but also they're like amazing pairs all round. If you want to learn more pairs, you can get the ebook. There's loads in there. So step 5 of the 5-step process is confidence. Now, the thing is with biomagnetism, what's really important to remember is you can't do it wrong. So if you put a magnet in the wrong place, let's say we were aiming for thymus, but we put it a bit too low, or we put it a bit too high, or we thought it was over to the right or to the left, or put the magnet this way round, or whatever it might be, it's not wrong. You can't it's really hard to put the body out of balance. So you're not going to knock your system out of balance. So don't ever let those magnets gather dust. So one of the reasons that I taught you a simpler way of muscle testing is because sway testing isn't the way to muscle test with biomagnetism. It's a bit unorthodox to muscle test with biomagnetism in a way that's not looking for hemi-body shortening. But it's better to do it and get a magnet on your body than not do it and not put a magnet on your body. So we can't get it wrong. Get magnets on your body. Don't let them gather dust. They're such an amazing tool. So don't forget that you can't do it wrong in terms of confidence of taking those first steps with biomagnetism. And then beyond the very first steps that you take, another thing to just remember is it takes practice. So even as you're taking those next steps with biomagnetism and things feel overwhelming in the same way that they do when you first start to learn to drive a car, just gently nudge your comfort zone. So put some magnets on yourself, and then maybe put some magnets on your partner or your children or your best friend. Nudge that comfort zone. You don't have to go in at the deep end and set up a clinic and invite everyone in the town to come for a biomagnetism appointment. Just gently nudge your comfort zone, but it also really helps to have a mission that's bigger than you. So I've always known that I want to help people. That's my big mission. And so for me, I did kind of nudge my comfort zone a little bit far, and that I quit my job. I trained to be a biomagnetism therapist, and I set up a clinic and just opened doors for free to anyone that would let me stick magnets on them. So I kind of didn't nudge the comfort zone, I like smashed it, but I wouldn't go back and change it, but also that's not the it's not the only way to do it. But you just have to have a mission that's bigger than you. So then on the days when you don't feel like you're feeling particularly confident, you're not doing it for you, you're doing it for the bigger mission. So know your why, know why you're doing what you're doing, and it makes taking those steps so much easier. And confidence is just another thing that you practice as well. It's the more you nudge yourself out of your comfort zone and realize, oh, actually nothing bad happened, the easier it is to nudge that. So confidence is just like training a muscle. Confidence is something that you can train and that you can practice as you gently nudge the edges of your comfort zone. And the more that you practice, the more your confidence will grow, because you'll see the amazing things happen, and then you'll want to do it more, and then you'll want to do it more, and then you'll see more amazing things happen, and then you'll want to do it more. And so it just kind of perpetuates. It's a bit like a snowball rolling down a hill. It gathers speed as it goes. Okay, thanks for sticking with me for the 5-step roadmap. I'm now going to talk to you about taking the next steps with biomagnetism. Eagle-eyed among you might notice that there's a nice little book on the screen. I'll come back to that in a minute. The world needs more biomagnetists. I genuinely believe this to be true. I think more people should have access to biomagnetism, and people travel really long distances to come and see me for biomagnetism appointments. Some of you on the line tonight have travelled very long distances to come and see me for biomagnetism appointments. In an ideal world, every town has a biomagnetist, so people don't have to travel. The demand for biomagnetism is growing, and now really is the perfect time to start. People are becoming more and more aware of how important health is, how important supporting their health in natural ways is, and biomagnetism is just growing and growing. And whether that's just that more houses have magnets and that they just look at the ebook. I promise I'll stop talking about the ebook in a minute, but yeah, I genuinely believe more people should have access to magnets. They genuinely are really like life-changing and amazing. So now is the perfect time to start if you are considering taking the next steps in your biomagnetism journey. And I'm just at the end of this month, we've got another intake of the course starting. So this course is for existing wellness professionals, so massage therapists, reflexologists, people who have something else but have a kind of a calling or a sense that they want to offer more to their clients, to offer kind of healing on a deeper level, and also want to stand out from the crowd. Biomagnetism is still very unique, and so you can really kind of set yourself apart from the crowd. It's also great for individuals who are kind of seeking a fulfilling career change. It really is one of the best jobs in the world. And so anyone who wants to step into it, the course will take you all the way through from kind of knowing absolutely nothing through to being a qualified biomagnetist in as little as 12 weeks if you really want to kind of push that career change through in a rapid way, or step into a new career. I've taught people right at the start of their kind of career journey as well. But it's also for those supporting to seek their own health and the health of their loved ones. I teach a lot of people who their intention is only ever to treat their family members and things. Just disclosure, you might fall in love with it and decide that you actually want to do it professionally, which is what a lot of people I have taught who said they were only ever going to do it for themselves and their families. Now they're submitting case studies because they want to get their accreditation, because they've fallen in love with biomagnetism. It's easy to do. So course covers lots of good stuff. So we cover a lot of the theory, the science, the history, the why it works, so that you have a real kind of solid foundational knowledge of what's actually happening. And then we cover the whole process of learning the muscle testing, learning where the magnets go, learning why they go where they go, what they do in all of those different positions. We also learn bioenergetics in this, so we don't do two separate courses like other training institutes. We do it all wrapped up in one, so it's one complete course. That's just a little insight into all the bits that we cover, but there's kind of there's lots, but it's all broken down into a really kind of easy step-by-step process to follow. So our course is a little different from others on the market. One of the main things is that we are CPD accredited. So this is an independent professional accrediting body. So it means that everything's really kind of highly drilled. This slide wouldn't actually pass through the CPD scoring because it's got too many words on it. It's super strict what font you use, how you deliver it, your learning objectives. It really drills every single element of the course, so you know that it's a really high level training course. It's a complete course, as I said, so you don't need to do 2 levels. It combines biomagnetism and bioenergetics. The reason that I've done it like this is I found quite a lot is when I did used to teach in the double-leveled way is you learn biomagnetism and that's great, but then you have to wait ages before you can do bioenergetics. But then when you do bioenergetics, you almost have to pick apart what you've already learned and put it back together with bioenergetics in the mix. So rather than unlearning and relearning, I've just put it all together so it's one seamless kind of learning journey all the way through. We have loads of comprehensive materials, diagrams, videos, handouts, reflective documents. There's lots to work through. There's a statistic of something like you forget 60% of what you've learned within 3 days unless you reinforce it or something like that. I can't remember the exact quote, but you forget a lot basically unless you reinforce it. So there's lots of reflective practice, reinforcement materials. There's loads of stuff to make sure that you don't just sit on the call for an hour and then it's all in one ear and out the other. You've got ways to incorporate that and learn it and really learn it. It's an optimized learning environment. I didn't really know how to say all the bits that we do, but yeah, there's all of those materials. We meet for one-to-one calls, but there's all different ways in which you can access the information, whether you're an auditory learner, a visual learner, a spatial learner, trying to make sure that all elements of learning are covered. So yeah, we meet once a week for live calls, and then that is uploaded into your e-learning student portal, which you have access to for 2 years after completing the training. But you get lifetime access to the community support page, which is turning into such a lovely space. I'm really proud of the environment that's going there, and there's some students on the line, and it's such a nice space. It's a nice safe space to ask questions. People are organising, getting together with other students to just practice, swap sessions and practice on each other. So you get lifetime access to that. So all of the past students are in there, and I'm sure in not very long it will be that everyone's kind of supporting everyone else. And then I have a wonderful lady called Alison O'Sullivan, who works with me as well, and she's always on hand to answer all the questions in there as well. But you also get personalised support. So we get one-to-one support calls at both the beginning and the end of the training course, just to make sure that everything's set up for you to thrive, and that once the training course is finished, that you've understood everything and that you're happy with what the next steps are to really take that forward. Some people quite liked it. I thought I'd take some screenshots. People said some quite nice stuff about it. And yeah, this is like, yeah, it makes me very happy when people say nice stuff. But it's why I do what I do, is for people to really kind of, for there to be more biomagnetism practitioners. And the only way that that's going to happen is if they can take a course that they can really understand and implement and use to kind of take it forward. So yeah, people are quite nice sometimes. So why might you want to study biomagnetism? I've covered a lot of this, but one of the main things that people say after the course finishes is how much value they've got from just applying it on themselves. And that's something that I hadn't like fully anticipated as I switched into doing practitioner training, how much people were going to kind of, how instrumental it's going to be in their own health. It also does give you flexible career opportunities. If you did want to take it forward as a job, then you're kind of in control of your own schedule and things, which is amazing for all different kind of sections of life, whether you're balancing it alongside childcare or your own health isn't 100% yet and you're still working on that, so you can't kind of go into a Monday to Friday 9 to 5, but you could do a couple of hours every day, for example. You have that flexibility to work within whatever your capacity is. For whatever reason your capacity is, that you might just not want to work more than 2 or 3 days a week, or 1 day a week, or 4 days a week, or you might want to work loads, but that's totally it's totally flexible. I taught, a lot of you have seen the 15 days of how to be successful in the wellness industry that I've just done, and one thing that we spoke about is kind of working out your niche and what makes you unique. The very nature of practicing biomagnetism is it will make you pretty unique. There's not loads of us around, and it is a really in-demand skill set. So for that reason alone is an amazing kind of reason to study biomagnetism. But it's also like, I know my journey with biomagnetism has been incredibly empowering, and I've kind of definitely grown so much over that time, and I know that that's what a lot of people kind of echo back to me as well about their journey learning biomagnetism through the school. So this empowerment is a big value of mine, and it's definitely something that you get from learning